This is amazing as Neemias Queta showed out in the minutes that he was given last night in the Celtics overtime loss, and he is proving that he is ready for this Celtics team to take over and step in to play some valuable backup minutes against some of these opponents. And we're going to be breaking down where that could happen for Neemias Queta in Joe Mazzulla's lineup. Will Brad Stevens and Jrue Mazzulla give him more leeway in this team after some great performances so far on the season? We'll be diving into all of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz, and you guys have been absolutely fantastic showing your love and support. To shout out to everyone that came through in the live stream last night. It was absolutely fantastic. The Celtics almost pulled it back in overtime, but if you want to make sure you get all the news and details on this Celtics team, make sure to keep hitting that like and subscribe button to stay up in all the news. But without further ado, let's dive into the video at hand. Let's get to the news. Make sure to grab a snack. And like I said into the introduction, Neemias Queta looks solid, and he looks like he could be a piece for this Celtics team for the future. And I've been preaching that on this channel ever since the Celtics signed him on a two-way contract over last season. Queta showcased some prime skills and looked like he had that energy, that motor coming in from a G League guy that could really translate and help out the Boston Celtics as a high-energy rebounder and shot blocker. Maybe a little bit of a replacement for Robert Williams, as some Celtics fans could see. And Queta has shown some flashes and some glimpses of that, but also showed the Celtics some greatness and some other strengths as well. And Queta has suited up for the Celtics 2 times this season so far. First, versus the Wizards, where he got to go and play some garbage time minutes in the second half, where he still looked solid in that game, but was not warranted any minutes in the next 2 contests, versus the Bucks and versus the Pistons. And unfortunately for Queta, that's okay for him because he still bounced back, given some garbage time minutes versus the Pacers last night, and that ultimately helped lead the Celtics with a spark. He was brought in with players like Jordan Walsh, Peyton Pritchard, and Sam Hauser, and the Celtics started to get a little bit of a lead back, and the Pacers started to deteriorate in the fourth quarter. Ultimately, the Celtics went and kept with Neemias Queta throughout the final fourth quarter, even into overtime, not even bringing in star center Al Horford, who hadn't had the greatest game guarding on defense, as Queta was the better matchup for this Pacers squad. So let's look and let's dive in to see how Neemias Queta performed in that performance. As we can see from Justin Turpin here, courtesy of Twitter, we can see that Neemias Queta didn't play either of the last 2 games like I mentioned, but was ready to go in the fourth quarter last night. He played fourth quarter and overtime and totaled 2 points, 9 rebounds, with 4 of them being offensive, with a block and a plus 18 plus minus, which was a game high. He was active all over the floor and sparked that comeback. Also note for Neemias Queta, courtesy of Justin Turpin as well, is that when Neemias Queta was defending these Pacers players, the Pacers shot 3 of 11 when guarded by Neemias Queta, in which Neemias Queta also got a very nice block on Ben Shepherd's layup attempt. So like we said, Neemias Queta not only proved for the Boston Celtics that he could be out there as a focal point, as a high-energy rebounder, but he also provided the Celtics with some great defense as well. And that was absolutely fantastic for Boston Celtics fans to see with Neemias Queta. And like I mentioned, Queta hasn't been able to give in that run. We've seen with Kristaps Porziņģis being out, Luke Kornet he's excelled through the preseason and kind of has this little more comfortability with some of these bench guys and starter guys being with the organization for a little bit longer. He's been given the role of that, true backup big. And we even saw Xavier Tillman get some minutes, kind of switch things up, coming in for Al Horford, and he couldn't really do much. But when Queta came in, he clearly made a high impact. And like I said, even though you look at the stat sheets, 2 points, 9 rebounds, 1 block, but that plus 18 is what screams out to you and showcases what Queta could bring. Queta was a high-value shot blocker, high-energy rebounder, and the Celtics needed those offensive rebounds, as in the first half, the Pacers were getting a lot of second-chance points from those offensive rebounds. The Celtics kind of inserted themselves. Luke Kornet did a fantastic job getting 6 offensive rebounds last night, which kind of kept the Celtics alive in that first half. But Queta, once he was implemented into those little garbage time minutes, that kind of second half stint for the Celtics where they kind of recuperated themselves, Queta inserted himself as that guy that was boxing those other bigs out, taking Isaiah Jackson out of the equation, taking Pascal Siakam out of the equation, and more focusing on scoring on some of those other players. Queta was able to get 4 offensive rebounds and keep those second chance possessions alive, which was able to give Jayson Tatum those 3-point shots and keep the Celtics in this game. Queta provides that motor, like I said, as a high energy offensive rebounder, a lob threat, and a rim protector. And I think that he can kind of be that type of Rob Williams replacement or Rob Williams-esque type role at this center position that the Celtics do lack and could utilize versus certain teams, specifically versus the Pacers, in which we saw last night. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section on Neemias Queta's performance, and if you'd like to see him more integrated in this offense, and how excited you are to see him play, because truly, I have been waiting for this moment for so long. I know I've been saying this over on the channel since he basically got started, that he could be potentially the backup center for the Celtics team, and I screamed that last night as well. I truly think that if Queta gets all these intangibles, really fundamentally learns how to not get those illegal screens, can find himself under the basket, and can provide himself as a high energy rebounder and rim protector, he could average 10 and 10 for the Celtics in little time. But let's get into the next part here, which is discovering where can Neemias Queta play. Because like I mentioned, the Boston Celtics do have a log jam rotation, and Neemias Queta did not play those last 2 games, even though he did have a good performance in Washington. So as we've seen with the Celtics, even with Lonnie Walker, a player that should be in the NBA, could have been a 12th or 13th man on the Celtics team, they went out and waived him, and he ultimately went inside overseas yesterday and will be playing over there. But as we know with this Celtics team, they're already too deep, already too skilled, and barely have any roles to fit in some of these players. So it's a little difficult to find holes for a player like Neemias Queta. And specifically when looking at this center group courtesy of Spot Track, we can obviously see Kristaps Porziņģis is in this center group, but he's obviously out. But there are 4 other centers in this group. Al Horford, the veteran who's been starting, Luke Kornet, the guy that has been around the organization a little bit more longer, is a little bit more fundamentally sound, can kind of fit in with the Celtics play style as that big because he's just going to pass and grab rebounds. And then you have Xavier Tillman, a little bit different kind of big, a little bit more of a switchable big, 3-point shooting big, and Neemias Queta, that rim protecting, shot blocking guy. And I think Queta and Kornet kind of file into that same tier of where they're going to be kind of playing, and Horford and Tillman are in kind of in that other tier of the switchable, smaller big. And ultimately, that's how the Celtics are going to kind of branch it up. We'll see Tillman and Queta play alongside each other. We'll see Horford and Queta play alongside each other, but I don't believe we see Queta and Kornet. So with Kornet kind of having that role already kind of solidified, how does Queta kind of perk into this role, and how does he kind of find himself to get these opportunities? Well, with last night, that is a clear one, because even after game 2, Joe Mazzulla said that Queta looked very, very solid, very, very sound in that Washington game, and he'd like to see him get more action. And after tonight's game, clearly showcasing that he could be a guy that could finish the game with the Celtics or play with these starters in key moments, I truly think Queta will get to see that shine. Like I said, I do believe that Neemias Queta will get some moments, will get some opportunities. I ultimately do think it's going to be matchup based, though. Like we said, versus a Pacers team that's very high energy, very fast paced, wants to grab rebounds, going to be very, very aggressive. Having a player like Neemias Queta is great because he's going to be a little bit of a bruiser, a bigger body. He's going to throw some of those guys, box them out, make sure he controls the rebounds and take care of that business. With a player like Xavier Tillman, it's a little bit difficult because, yeah, he might be a little bit of a better defender coming off those screens and being able to play defense on some of those smaller guys. If he gets beat or blown by going by the basket, it's just an easy layup for the Indiana Pacers. And we saw that a little bit with Al Horford. With Queta and Kornet, they did a little bit better of shuffling their feet and being fundamentally sound and getting those blocked shots. And I do think against some of these faster paced teams or teams that don't play a slow paced 3-point style of basketball where you need to grab those rebounds, it's going to be key. I also think we could see Queta inserting himself, like I said, in a game where the Celtics are jacking up threes, because if the Celtics need that high-energy rebounder or shot blocker to kind of protect the rim, Queta can kind of insert himself to be that for the Celtics. And last, we'll kind of get into some more. Will this get him more minutes? Will this performance ultimately get Queta some more shine with this Celtics team? And I ultimately think it will. Like I said, Queta did get 2 DNPs after that Washington Wizards performance, but it was a little bit of a garbage time performance. The Celtics had kind of cleared that game away. In this performance, it's a little bit different. The Celtics put out some of their lower end guys in the fourth quarter, not completely throwing in the towel, but kind of, let's see how these young guys look with some of our starters. And ultimately, the Celtics starters and Jayson Tatum started to get hot, and they were able to come back. But even a player like Queta still got to play in that overtime alongside Peyton Pritchard. No Jrue Holiday, no Al Horford in that overtime. Neemias Queta was in. So that goes to show you that Joe was trusting him and riding with the moment. And I could see Joe doing that in the foreseeable future, specifically with Neemias Queta, if he's given this opportunity once again. I do think, though, with Neemias Queta's emergence, Joe has seen that Queta can be a player that can be used. And maybe if Kornet's having a bad game or Kornet isn't looking the best as aggressive or on the boards, maybe Neemias Queta is that little juice of replacement to kind of throw in there to kind of see how he works out. I know Jordan Walsh has been used as an aggressive rebounder as well, a little bit as a 3-and-D defending / wing, but I think him and Queta ultimately can find themselves some spark minutes here. Maybe if it's 2 to 5 minutes in select games here and there, just to kind of showcase their skills and kind of find their role. And ultimately, I do think that Neemias Queta will implement himself into this Celtics rotation. If it's this season, if it's next season, I do think that Neemias Queta has a home in Boston, and Celtics fans, you should get attached to our guy because he is going to be a name that we all are going to love. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. How do you guys feel about Neemias Queta? Where do you guys think he stands with this Celtics team? Where would you ultimately like to see him fit in with this roster? Like I said, you guys have been absolutely fantastic in liking the videos, watching and supporting the channel, and Godfrey and I are super, super appreciative. So thank you guys so much for hitting the like button, hitting that subscribe button. Unfortunately, this weekend I am busy, so we will not be live for the Hornets games, but next week we will be live once again when the Celtics are back. So I'll have updates for that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics.